What's up, everyone? So, Season 15 is coming, and my Fist of Hammers Paladin is stronger than ever. I've stepped into the high-budget version of this build, but I still have plenty of upgrades that I'm chasing. I'll go through those later in this video. And yes, I did solo Uber Ancients online for the first time. Super awesome, and very safe. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so this build, this isn't going to be a build guide. I already have the build guide, but this is more of an update to my build, and to maybe give you some motivation that not everything has to be perfect. You can still chase upgrades and move into these different budget tiers. So for this build, you kind of want to really draw a line in the sand and ask yourself, do you want to play at the 75 faster cast rate breakpoint or 125? Now don't worry, you can do both. You could actually just have a gear swap for both, however you want to play. And the build doesn't need to change its identity at all for either breakpoint. You just need to change around your defensive layers and change around the pros and cons. Now I'll just give you my personal opinion. I prefer to play at the 75 faster cast rate breakpoint. That is only because I just like being extra safe. I like the extra layers of damage reduction, resistances, and things like that. Also, I'm 96 going to 97, and I just don't want to die. As much as I can prevent that, the better. So yeah, both are valid at either breakpoint. And honestly, another reason why I went for 75 is I primarily use Fist of Heavens. I do use hammers quite a bit. I use Holy Bolt, but I am primarily using Fist of Heavens. And since there's a little bit of a cooldown there, I just feel like the cast rate doesn't matter as much. Obviously, you feel it when you teleport. That's just my 2 cents. And I like just having the extra flexibility in the gear pieces. So let's go ahead and break down kind of where I've transitioned from more of a mid-range version of the build into the high budget, and just also where I still have plenty of upgrades to go. So let's kind of break down each piece. Let's start with the helmet. Now, in the guide, I referenced the best in slot as Hell Warden's Will. Now, I think I'm going to back up on that a little bit. I think that's maybe best in slot for the 125 faster cast rate breakpoint. I've been using Shaco just almost 95% of the time. When I'm not using Shaco, I'm using a G-Face. That's just because I want to smite a little bit harder, but I don't really need it. I'm just mostly using Shaco. I like the magic find. I like the damage reduction that comes on there. The extra life and mana is great, and the 2 to skills, so it's great. Now, I think my best in slot now here is going to be a 2-socket Crown of Ages. I think that's the all-around best in slot for the 75 faster cast rate setup. And again, keep in mind, the fundamental principles to my personal setup is I want to be tanky, and I don't want to shift gear around. I want to be able to magic find just in the Chaos Sanctuary or Terror Zones without swapping any gear. The only time I want to do any kind of swaps would just be to prepare for Ubers. So, that's my philosophy. With a Crown of Ages, you get so many amazing things on this item. Let's just look at the base stats. You get skills, you get faster hit recovery, damage reduction, healthy all resistances, very nice defense, and then it's got 2 sockets. That's already amazing. I mean, that's literally best in slot right there. But with these 2 sockets, you could throw in a Chamrune. Don't need a Ravenfrost anymore. And then you also now have the only open socket for the new Uber Jewels. And in this one, I would socket the Protector's Stone for the physical damage bump. I mean, you're clearing so much with FOH and hammers. The big enemies are going to be getting hit with Smite, so I just think that's kind of the best case here. And when you're going with magic damage and 125 faster cast rate setup, you can't use a Crown of Ages. And you'd probably want to enhance your magic damage anyway. Hell Warden's Will, or maybe a Circlet. Anyways. So it's kind of like Chammed. G-Face is for Ubers. Shaco is just probably the best all-around option. And if you really want to push for it, I would say a 2-socket Crown of Ages. Now, my 125 faster cast rate peeps, which I think most of you are probably going to want to play at 125 faster cast rate. I don't expect everyone's going to want to be a little more slower paced like me. I am old. But no, really, FOH kills really fast, and I just don't see it. But anyways, with 125 faster cast rate, you have to remember you have to use a circlet. You have to use a cast rate helmet somewhere. So that can be a Coven rune word, that could be a really good rare circlet or a magic circlet. And in this case, I even think 3 to Paladin combat works well, because most of your skills are combat. You're not actually gaining as much from the auras. So Paladin combat, 20 faster cast rate could be great. 2 to Paladin skills, 20 cast rate rare. A 2-socket I think is the most important though, because if you're going 125 faster cast rate here, if you get a 2-socket circlet, again, you could put a Cham rune in the Uber Jewel. That way you could maintain your rings for cast rate and you don't need a Ravenfrost. And this is so that you could smite on the switch side. Your opposite side, you're using Grief and Exile for 125 faster cast rate, whereas Grief and Phoenix for 75 faster cast rate, it hits just a little bit harder. Actually, a lot of it harder. But you can use Hell Warden's Will for 125 faster cast rate, which I think is really cool, but it's just 1 socket. So there is something to be said. I do want to back up. If you have a 20 faster cast rate Amulet, then you could use a Ravenfrost and Hell Warden's Will. So that is a setup, but you have to have a 20 faster cast rate Amulet and a 35 faster cast rate Spirit. All right, let's move on to the shield. So really for upgrades, because that really wasn't any upgrades. I've been using Shaco since kind of the beginning. I guess the only upgrade would have been the Cham rune in my G-Face. But let's actually get to the upgrades now. So the shields. So your first big upgrade in this build is going to be a 35 faster cast rate Spirit Shield. You don't need the 35 faster cast rate right away. You can obviously make it work with anything with under 35. But when you hit the 35 faster cast rate, you only need 40 in the rest of your gear. Now, for mine, I don't like to remove my gloves at all. They are Dracul's Grasp. So, for me, it's rings, amulet, and belt. So yeah, pretty cool. Opens up some things once you hit 35 faster cast rate on your shield. Makes it easier to run a Ravenfrost. You unlock a little bit more belt flexibility. Now, after you've upgraded your Paladin Spirit Shield, once you hit 35 faster cast rate, this is when you can start thinking about a 20 faster cast rate Amulet. You don't need the 20 faster cast rate, but once you want to start pushing into the very end game and you really want to start opening up a little more flexibility in your rings, this is when you want the 20 faster cast rate. So if you're thinking about the 75 breakpoint, if you get a 20 faster cast rate Amulet with a 35 faster cast rate Spirit Shield, you only need 20 between your belt and 2 rings. That's awesome. I prefer to use String of Ears. I just really like the damage reduction and the magic damage reduction that I get from it, and then I like having faster cast rate rings. I know I don't get any skills on any of those slots, but I do get a lot of tankiness, and then the rings give me a lot of missing resistances I might need, mana, life, whatever. It's just quality of life. You could switch these around. You can have an Arachidid Mesh for the faster cast rate, and then use Stone of Jordans or BK rings, however you'd like to do it. The point is that this Amulet, in combination with the Spirit Shield, really opens up your slots here for however you want to play. If you want to go full damage, or if you want to go with Absorb, or if you want to go physical damage reduction, or 125 faster cast rate. Now, remember though, while we're on the Amulet subject, you're probably just going to be using Amara's Kaleidoscope when you do Ubers, so this doesn't really matter for Ubers. That's kind of a separate scenario where you don't need to be teleporting around maps. Now let's get to our rings and belt. As I already mentioned, my general all-around setup preference is to use 2 faster cast rate rings and String of Ears. That gives me Dracul's Grasp on my gloves, so whenever I do smite on switch, I get life tap, my Mercenary gets life tap, helps him survive. But like I said, you could use Arachnid Mesh with plus skill rings like SOJs or BK rings. You could use Sling rings for 125 faster cast rate, giving you damage and MF. You could use Geed's Wager Belt. That's a good one for this build as well. It's kind of cool nowadays. There's a lot of different options. It's not just Arachnid Mesh and SOJ. Like, you have a few different other options now. It's kind of nice. In fact, you could use Wisp projectors. You could use Dwarf Stars. Dwarf Stars are what I like to use when I am in Ubers, so that's something to think about. Oh, also, I have to just throw up my little trophy ring that I've got. I found this myself, and it's one of my favorite rings I've ever found, ever in all of Diablo 2, including Lord of Destruction. I know it's not a true 6-point trophy, but check this thing out, Corruption Turn. I love this thing. Anyways, moving on. So let's move to the melee shield. And so for the 75 faster cast rate, I really think Phoenix is the best option. When we're smiting, we have such limited skill points that any extra damage we can get here is really helpful. We're working with just 1 point to fanaticism, and then whatever we can get from our Mercenary. So mine wears Pride, so I get concentration, helps my hammers, also helps my smite. He's a Might Mercenary, so Might also helps my smite. But if he dies, Phoenix Shield still makes up for roughly about half of my smite damage. That's if I'm not with the help of a Mercenary. So it is pretty significant. With my Mercenary and all of those things together, the damage you get on Phoenix is about 25% of your smite damage, not including Crushing Blow or anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty great. But the things that you might not think about is actually how defensive this shield is. Most of the time, when you're smiting, it's to take down a thick enemy at the end, maybe the last, the minion for a Herald pack or something like that. So you're going to have bodies. So when you switch over, you're going to have redemption. So you're going to be getting healed. But at the same time, your maximum lightning and maximum fire resist go up. Also, it has fire absorb. It's got life on it. My base has all resistances. This is a sweet shield, offensively and defensively. Now, I will just add, if you're using the 125 faster cast rate setup, you have to use caster gloves, so you can't use Drax. So you have to get life tap on Exile. That's where Exile would come in instead of Phoenix. So you're going to lose the damage on Phoenix, but it's kind of cool. Even Exile adds some maximum resistance as well. But you're going to get a huge layer of defense. And life tap actually triggers 3 times more often than Dracul's. So there's that. And then obviously my weapon is a Grief Phase Blade. But the thing I want to point out about all of these items so far is that although they're really great items, my base for my Phoenix can be a more ideal base. It also can have higher all resistances. My Spirit can be a better base. It could have higher all resistances. My Grief can roll a higher damage value. I could be a superior if I really wanted, although I don't really charge much. But see, that's the thing is that there's still a lot of upgrades here. I'm in that higher budget, but there's still a lot more I could improve. So yeah, let's talk about the Mercenary really quick. Even with this kind of budget level, right? Like you'd think, oh, well, he's still using a Duriel's Shell. Although I did find an Ethereal 199% one that I'm going to upgrade. Pretty sweet. I like this armor. It's got good resistances and cannot be frozen. Vampire Gaze. Super awesome, but it doesn't have a socket, doesn't have a Cham rune. So both of those. My armor, I'm aiming for a Chains of Honor eventually. And I could put a Cham rune if I really like it in there for my Vampire Gaze. Both items will give him even more life leech. So still got upgrades on my Mercenary. I really like the Pride Mercenary. I never need to worry about having concentration. That helps while I'm hammering, and I could use something else for him like fanaticism, or I could heal him with removing his curses with cleansing while I'm casting hammers. It's pretty cool. I'm also kind of toying with the idea of maybe for the super rich people out there, a double Last Wish Act 5 Mercenary would just kind of guarantee life tap a lot more often. I just don't feel like those mercenaries are actually that durable. It's kind of weird. Let's go ahead and talk about my charms. I've seen some comments in my videos about my charm section. Now, I just want to be clear. A lot of time, I actually don't play with charms with any skillers at all. Most of the time is probably 2 or 3 skillers, but there are times that I like to just fill it up and just feel extra strong. I play on PC, and I don't mind just pressing the cube hotkey to put my loot in there. So it's not a big deal. You don't need a bunch of skillers to make the build work at all. I just have some plain ones that I put on there. But anyways, so that's kind of my talking point on my charms. Though I do have some skillers, none of them have mods. I have no life on any of them. In fact, I have one small charm that has life. Every single other charm is only resistances with no life at all. So I have a ton of upgrading to do on my charms. I mean, there's a large amount of life I could gain for some extra safety on my charms. So that's really cool. Again, just I have a lot of long-term goals still for upgrading this character, and I like that. I like that there's always something that can still be upgraded, but it doesn't stop the function. He can do all content. It's just now I can just min-max and just have fun doing it. It's really cool. Now again, my dream upgrade, I think right now for the most part, is my Crown of Ages. If I could find, I just really want a 15% damage reduce, and then as high of resistances I could find, and it's got to be a 2-socket. But that's going to be my dream item. I'm going to put a champion in there, and I'm going to put my Protector's Stone, and it's going to be kind of like my own little personal trophy, even though I know a lot of people probably have Crown of Ages, and it's not really like that crazy. It is to me, because I don't trade that much, and I'm a dad, and I don't play like crazy. This is a lot of accumulation on my non-ladder account. Kind of a recap, my Phoenix and Spirit can both be upgraded to a better shield base, and they can have higher base resistances. My Grief can still have a better roll. The rings ultimately can always probably be upgraded slightly, right? So, and that's another thing, is my rings don't have life on them. My Corruption Turn does, but I've been swapping that one out for one with just slightly more all resistances, just to make sure I don't dip. The Amulet, I could probably get a better Amulet down the road. Maybe one day I'll actually craft my own Paladin 20 faster cast rate Amulet, maybe with life and better resistances. And like I said, my small charms, they all can be upgraded to have life. My skillers can have life. My torch is terrible. It's like an 11-13. I should probably go farm my own better Paladin torch. Yeah, and my call to arms is in a +3 Fist of Heavens Scepter, but I have a +2 Fist of Heavens and a +2 Blessed Hammer on the same scepter. So I'll lose 1 to FOH, but I'll gain 2 to Blessed Hammer. I don't know, I've been using Blessed Hammer quite a bit more when I'm doing Heralds. I set up a good field before they start, so I don't know. That might be something I do. And yeah, so I was able to also take on the Uber Ancients online. For me, my internet's a little bit spotty, so I really need to make sure that I'm pretty safe. He handled it no problem, though I was totally over-geared. You don't need to have this kind of gear, but it's just nice to be able to just kind of do it online. And it's funny, I got my Protector's Stone. I got the Protector's Stone that I want. It's not a perfect one. I think I got an 8%, but still, pretty cool. It was nice to tackle the fight and to see the safety of it. I feel like I've seen before where my life will chunk really far, and on this one, because I'm using, I just feel like more damage reduction and magic damage reduction. I feel like the spikes just weren't as violent, but it's still kind of stressful sometimes. But Smiter, it's about as safe as it gets. This is gonna be my season 15 ladder starter, that is for sure. And with the statues being, their drops being nerfed, I think the Uber Jewels are going to be more expensive and more rare this next season. So having a character that has no problem farming it's going to be awesome. This character can farm everything. There's nothing it can't do. So if you want to get in there in this next season and you don't want to play Warlock, I totally recommend playing the Fist of Hammers Paladin. Especially if you want to get in there and cast down some divine judgment, calling down fists from the heavens, throwing out blessed hammers with divine judgment, and smiting any wicked enemies that are left standing in your face, smiting them to nothing. This is the guy. This is the guy for you. He's so fun. I can't stop playing him. I've been trying to move on to other characters, and I just keep tweaking him a little bit more and making little upgrades. So it'll be fun. Let me know. Are you playing this character? Where are you at? Are you going to start the next season with the Paladin? What's your season 15 going to look like? Let me know in the comments. And if you like builds like this, follow my channel. Like and subscribe, and more content's going to be coming, and I'll be circling around during the season to kind of share my progress and updates, and hopefully some fun things that happen along the way. So, oh, and another thing. I have been asked about how the build functions in Players 8, and I just want to say I don't really play single player, so that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. But I did throw together some gear on single player on my testing, and I kind of went through and just did Chaos Sanctuary in Players 8, and he clears pretty well, but you know, this is primarily a Fist of Heaven's Paladin, and in higher player counts they're just traditionally not as fast and zoomy as the rest, but yeah, the larger the pack, the quicker they fall, so I feel like it did pretty well. I mean, it's not too shabby, to be honest with you, but yeah, in case anyone's curious about how that performs, I mean, there's some footage there and you can kind of see it. It's really not bad. I think, again, the main thing about this build is the safety. So yeah, you're going to be real safe. Yeah, still took down groups pretty quickly. So yeah, Uber Jewels. Uber Jewels are going to be worth more this season. If you want someone that could farm them, this guy's going to be very good at it. He farms statues, farms heralds. Also, I'm really hyped for just the tier 3 and higher heralds having better drops. I'm really curious what that means, because they didn't really give us like numbers. We increased it by 50% or whatever. So let's get in on it. Let's get in. Are you guys hyped? I know it's not like a ton of changes, but I think this is interesting to see. Like, they've been listening to some of the feedback, and I think it's kind of cool to reduce the shard drop rate, make sure an item drops with the shard so we're not losing loot, and then reducing the statue drop rate so things are going to be valuable like they should be. I think things should be kind of harder to get. So, fun. I'm excited. Season 15. For me, this is going to be the season of Divine Judgment. FOH, Hammers, Smite. The full holy arsenal. Let me know. What's your season 15 plans? Until next time, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Love you. See you next time. Peace out.